Welcome to Shaped by Faith, where we shape our bodies and hearts for God's purposes. My guest today is Lori Lewis. She is an ambassador for a safe haven for newborns. Welcome, Lori, to Shaped by Faith.
Thank you, Theresa, for having me on your show today. I'm so honored to be a part of it.
Absolutely, and I cannot wait for our listeners to hear more about this amazing organization, and I consider it a huge ministry that you are working within. So before we get to that, why don't you give us some background on yourself before you got involved with being a foster parent and becoming an advocate for a safe haven?
Absolutely. I would be glad to. I grew up in a small town in the Midwest in Wisconsin, and my mother herself was adopted when she was a young child. So growing up in that environment, she was always, wanting to take care of other children, and it just inspired me to take care of other people's children. And that's really what adoption is all about. You make them your own.
Absolutely. And, there's so many children waiting to be adopted, and just to open up your home, to love that child as your own. I mean, God not only blesses a child, He blesses the family also for doing so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're going to talk about the mission, or you're going to talk about the mission and the vision for a safe haven for newborns. So why don't you talk about that?
Certainly. Safe Haven for Newborns was founded by a gentleman named Nick Severio in South Florida, where we were living at the time. And the Safe Haven for Newborns mission is they are dedicated to saving the precious lives of newborns from the dangers of abandonment and assisting pregnant girls and women in crisis. Their vision is to eliminate infant abandonment. It started in Florida. Of course, it has gone into all 52 states and into Honduras now through education, prevention, and community involvement, and to assist pregnant girls and women to realize a productive future. It gives them a choice, and they can go on with their life knowing that they have blessed a family with a child that they knew that they couldn't take care of.
Wow.
So it's a huge vision.
Absolutely. Well, and I guess sometimes you don't think about that people do abandon their infants. You think about sometimes other countries, people do that, and but, they do that all over the world. And,
right.
To bring awareness to that, I mean, wow. So Lori, how does the program work? I mean, the women that are expecting or they have had their child, can you kind of walk us through that?
Yes, absolutely. There's a national hotline, Theresa, that it's 1-844-767-2229. And that hotline will connect these women for information, whether they are looking for a place to be able to take their infant, they need medical assistance, they need a place to live, they need counseling, whatever their need may be, that hotline will direct them to the right organization that will assist them in taking care of them.
Okay. Now, Lori, what if someone is not aware of the hotline, okay? Are there safe haven places locally or in different communities, and how would someone find them?
Right. In the state of Kentucky, the child needs to be 3 days or younger, but our places of drop-off in Kentucky are a police station, fire station, hospital, and now we have included churches.
Oh, wow.
The law will allow for them to walk away, no questions asked. However, they have to place that child in the arms of, a church, somebody from the church, somebody from the fire station, somebody from the hospital, somebody from the police station. And on the website, that's safehavenfornewborns.com, you can click on our state, and it'll tell you the specific rules. Every state, it'll tell you what the rules are, and it will also has education on it as to what they can do to get trained for a baby.
Okay.
A Safe Haven baby.
So Safe Haven actually helps assist the moms before they have the child as well.
Correct. And they have assisted, some moms want to give their baby up for adoption, so they'll send them off to an adoption agency. They are the bridge to keep that baby from being abandoned, thrown in canals, thrown in the dumpsters. I mean, It's just horrible, the things we read in the news and the things that we hear about of how these babies are abandoned. But these women they don't feel they have any choice. So that's why I'm pretty passionate about this.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad you're on, that you're bringing awareness to Safe Haven. So let's start with, you talked about you heard a word from the Lord over 29 years ago, and I would love for you to share that with our listeners.
Absolutely. I would love to share with them. It's very sad, actually, because I wanted children of my own, and nothing was working as planned, and one miscarriage after another. I pretty much just cried out to God, like, I want children. I want to love them and take care of them. And that's when I was sitting in that little church in North Carolina where I was, and I got a word from God that there were children in homes that needed to be loved on and cared for over the Christmas season. And He was very specific to me, and He said, you're going to take care of them, but you're not just doing it for a short season. This is what I am calling you to do. And that was 25 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so obviously you became a foster parent, you and your husband. So you were living now in Florida, and you were fostering children through an agency called Kids in Distress. So talk about that, what this was like for you and your husband, and maybe kind of lay out what is a process for fostering children. What are some things you go through?
Absolutely. Yep. That is another hat that I wear. I am an educator to licensed foster parents now also. If you're interested in fostering, if the Lord has placed that upon your heart, that you are able to take care of other people's children and love on them and know that you may give them back to them, you can call our local Department of Social Services and find out when the next training class is. Of course, with our current situation in life, we're doing Zoom meetings and stuff. We hope to resume back to normal classes the first part of August. So that would be the first thing, to make the call and find out when the next class is, the information class is. And then you just begin the process of the education, the training. It's not a very long session. It's actually broke into 2 Saturdays now. And then there's a home inspection, and they connect you with a social worker, and they find out your needs of, you need to have a self-check, like, am I more for babies? Am I more for toddlers? Am I more for teenagers? And can I do just boys? Can I do just girls? You need to decide what works in your family. So that's kind of the logistics of fostering, the beginning of it. And then the journey is you can't even put a word to it. It's just amazing taking care of these kids. And then we have several now that are older, and of course they come back, and we're good friends with their family and parents and everything. So you're always a part of their life.
Right.
It's never an ending. It's a beginning. It's a new beginning.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Lori, and you answered that question for me, really, if it's hard, after fostering a child to give them back to their parents, if that's a hard process, or if it's like, I loved on them and now I'm thankful, they're in the hands of their parents. How does that work?
Well, in the process of being a foster parent and the journey of it, kids will always see their birth parents, because that's what the courts call for. There's usually a visit once a week. And during that visit of once a week, you will find that you're going to meet the parents. You're going to share with them, Susie did this week, or Johnny did really good in school, or we're working on potty training. Do you have any ideas? You're co-parenting basically with them. And if they're on board and they really want their kids back, they're going to work with you, and you just become one.
Gotcha.
You're raising that child together.
We're going to take a break. We will be right back with more Shaped by Faith, so everyone stay tuned. Welcome back to Shaped by Faith, where we shape our bodies and hearts for God's purposes. My guest today is Lori Lewis. She is an ambassador for a safe haven for newborns. And Lori, I'm so thankful you're on to bring awareness to this amazing organization and ministry that helps newborns. It also helps moms as well. I want to get into the part where you receive a call from a social worker about a pre-adopt child. So tell us about the situation and how things went.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, the story behind our daughter, Gloria Hope, that was one of the first babies saved by the Safe Haven for Newborns law, was quite interesting. My husband and I had returned from a trip to North Carolina when we were back to South Florida. We already had 3 children in our home that we were fostering. And I received a call late in the afternoon from a social worker that we worked with from Kids in Distress. And she said, Lori, she says, we have a baby for you. And, you know, being a foster parent of as many years as I had, I'm used to calls like that. Okay, there's a baby coming. All right, cool. Let's get the diaper. Let's, you know. And she said to me, she goes, no, Lori, she says, this isn't a foster baby. This is going to be your baby.
Oh, wow.
And I fell to my knees and I cried and I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, well, she's a Safe Haven baby. I'm like, what is Safe Haven? I knew nothing about it. You know, there was no education out there. I knew nothing about it. So about 10 minutes later, they arrived at my door with this beautiful little bundle wrapped in the baby blanket with no hair. Her skin was so thin and 6 roses, and they laid her in my arms, and my heart was racing out of my chest. Her heart was racing. It was just like that immediate bond.
Wow.
And they laid her in my arms, and they said, well, you know, here she is. And I'm like, my baby girl. I've always wanted a baby girl. And she's like, she's yours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. And then, of course, there was one small hitch. Every child that's ever come through the front of my door has always had a name. Mm-hmm. And they said, you get to name her. And I was like, oh, my goodness, I've never got to name a child before. So it took me 3 days to come up with a name for her. I had learned that the firemen called her Baby Hope.
Oh.
Because she was she was delivered on Father's Day to the Deerfield Beach Fire Station. And so I knew Hope was going to be her middle name, and it took me about 3 days of sleepless nights because she was colic. And I got up one morning to get started with the day with her, and it just went click. It just clicked right in my head. I was like, that's right, God. I had already said to myself, if I ever had a baby girl, I was going to name her Gloria. My mother's name was Gloria. She took the G and the A off, made Lori for me. And then I put the G and the A back on for Gloria, so she became Gloria Hope Lewis.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I know. And because she was one of the first babies saved, proving that the law works, that the call to the fire station, the call to the hotline, the drop-off, the hospital, the agency, the Kids in Distress agency, and the foster or the Future Forever family, they wanted to do a lot of articles with us and information, which we continue to do, and she's 17 years old today. So you can never get the word out enough. Yeah.
That's right.
We've been huge. We're just huge advocates for it. Even though we live in Kentucky, we're still very heavily involved with the mission.
Wow.
So,
you received that. You received your daughter quickly. Oh, my goodness gracious. Wow.
I know.
Tell us some things about Gloria Hope. How's she been, and how has God blessed you and your husband with her?
Oh, my gosh. Well, she was never an only child. I mean, her birth mother, we don't know if she ever had any other children, but in our home, she was never an only child. When she came in, we had Erica, who's now our oldest. She's 21. She was 3. We had her older sister who was 5, and we had another little boy who was 3. So she has grown up with tons and tons of kids coming and going and coming and going and coming and going. And she's extremely intelligent. She has a voice of an angel. she's taller than me, so she thinks it's fun to give me a hug and put her chin on my head. And I know she's a mess. She's a mess. I love her. So now we're finishing up high school, and she's, of course, straight A student. She's just really brilliant, and she's looking at college, and she's wanting to go away for college. So it's not sitting really good with me, but I'm going to have to deal with it.
Well, she knows where her home is.
She knows where home is.
Yes.
Yep.
So you and your husband opened Camp Safe Haven and Earthbound Lodging free to foster families. So tell us why you did that and what goes on there. It's totally amazing. I mean, I read about it and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, we did that because we know what it's like to foster children, and we know the ins and outs and the daily pressures of it. It's not an easy thing to do. It's very rewarding, but it's not easy to do. And our campground that we have, when you go camping, I mean, life is just good. You're sitting around a campfire, you're eating s'mores, you're putting down marshmallows and chocolate and graham crackers, and you're talking with people, and we've got the swimming pool. And so we offer it to them at no cost because it's expensive to do extracurricular things when you're raising extra children. So we have a few people that take advantage of it, but it's just something we thought we could do to give back,
Right. What kind of activities go on there?
Well, we have really not a lot going on right now because it's really cold.
Right.
But come summer.
Yes, in the summer.
We just have some really great people. We love to cook. It's not uncommon for outdoor movie night. We've got the swimming pool. We could do a little kayaking, a little fishing, some hiking in the woods. We're on 32 acres, so we're very blessed with some acreage. So.
And I know the camp must be very healing to those who attend. And
it really is. And the kids when they come, they're very broken. Their whole world has been turned upside down, and they don't know where to turn next. So I usually just take them for a walk out in the woods and let them defrag. Run around barefoot and put their feet in the ground and jump on the trampoline and swing on the swing set. Just all those things that kids love to do.
Right. Do you have a story, Lori, of inspiration that you'd like to share with us?
Story of inspiration. I think that the biggest story of inspiration would be that if you are childless, you don't have to be. There's ways that you can become a forever parent. It's just don't look at the doom and gloom. There's always a way to be a mom or a dad.
And as far as fostering, Lori, are there certain requirements for who qualifies to be a foster parent?
The requirements are in the requirements are fairly simple. You need to, of course, have a clear background check. You can't be a bad person or a person that's made bad mistakes.
Right.
One of them. But the room, your home has to have their own room and stuff like that. So it's not that difficult.
Just have to have a heart to love, I would think.
Absolutely.
Yep. Just love.
Got to have a heart to love. That's right. Exactly.
How can we help raise awareness for a safe haven for newborns? What are some things we can do as a community?
As a community, we can raise awareness by, having different events. We did one this summer with the G2G project where we fed people for free, the Glory to God project. And we set up our tent and we handed out brochures and stuff. I tried to do, like down at the River Park when we had all of that, I set up a table and hand out information. It's really just reminding people that there is a hotline, that there is a website, and that you're not alone. If you are young and pregnant, or even old and pregnant, you're not alone.
That's
There's
right.
people there to help you and help you make the right choice for you and your baby.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We will be right back with more Shaped by Faith. Everyone stay tuned. Welcome back to Shaped by Faith. We shape our bodies and hearts for God's purposes. Lori Lewis has been talking about a safe haven for newborns. And Lori, if you can just kind of give us a brief rundown again on what is a safe haven for newborns.
Absolutely. Safe Haven for Newborns is an organization that is dedicated to saving the precious lives of newborns from the dangers of abandonment and assisting pregnant girls and women in crisis. The way that you can get in touch with them is through their national hotline, 1-844-767-2229, and that will put you in touch with someone that can help you make decisions that are right for you and your unborn child. It'll also help you if you need medical, whatever your need is. There's also a website on the web. It's a safehavenfornewborns.com, filled with information on how many babies have been saved, how you can donate if you need to, because they are a 501c3 and they always need assistance. So, yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about some things that you and your husband are also involved in. I mean, you do a lot for our community. You're very involved with Shepherd's Hand Ministry. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We joined up with Shepherd's Hand Ministry the first part of December, a little slower at the campground, so I was looking for something else to do. And with our partnership, with what we are doing, we've been able to help 21 families in our area that didn't have any food, and we're working on closing also. So we've added to our Camp Safe Haven Purple Project, we're calling it, where we're assisting women and children that have suffered domestic violence. So we are really excited about how we're able to help people.
It sounds like you and your husband are extremely involved in our community, and you do have your hands full. When does camp season start?
Oh, last year I opened up the pool in March. So whenever it starts getting warm, I open up that pool. We have reservations already for April 1st. So, about March, April, somewhere in there.
Okay, let's talk about some safe haven places here in our community locally. Where could we find a safe haven place?
Sure, the safe haven drop-offs here would be our police stations, our fire stations, and our local churches. The baby does have to be taken to a human being, though. It cannot just be left at the doorstep. We're also working with our hospital to have the information put on their doors.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Lori, how would you encourage someone who is thinking about becoming a foster parent to go ahead and proceed with that? How would you encourage them?
I'd say go to the information meeting, go through the educational classes, meet up with other people that are foster parents. Talk to me if you need to. Call me. That's fine. You can reach out to me. I'm sure there'll be contact information. And just go forward with it and know that you're doing the right thing and making a difference.
And God will help them, right?
Absolutely. God is always by your side helping.
That's right. Lori, I want to thank you so much for coming on Shaped by Faith. And I would love to connect with you again and maybe talk more about the camp after you're in that camp season. I think that's very interesting. And
absolutely.
God bless you and what you're doing to help others, you and your husband.
Thank you, Ms. Theresa. It's been a pleasure.
All right. And thank you. I'm Theresa Rowe. Everyone have a blessed day. Bye.
Bye-bye now.